Picture this. You're lying in a hospital bed, and your husband just handed you divorce papers because he thinks you're broke. But what he doesn't see is the phone in your other hand, where you just finalized an $800 million deal. The twist. He's about to find out the hard way that the woman he's been stealing from for 2 years was 10 steps ahead of him the entire time. This is the story of Victoria and how she turned betrayal into the sweetest victory of her life. Please take a quick second to like this video. It really helps us grow. Tell us where you're watching from. Your support means so much to us. Thank you once again. 4 years ago, Victoria was the type of woman people overlooked until they desperately needed her expertise. A brilliant software architect with $50 million earned through pure talent and relentless work ethic. She lived modestly, no designer labels screaming for attention, no sports cars collecting dust in her garage. Just raw intelligence, iron discipline, and a heart that ached with loneliness. Her closest friend, Rachel, had harbored jealousy since their college days and knew exactly how to weaponize Victoria's loneliness. Rachel introduced her to Derek, 6 feet tall, devastatingly charming, the type of man who could make lies sound like poetry. Victoria fell harder than she ever thought possible. She believed she'd finally found someone who saw her soul, not her bank account. What Victoria didn't realize was that Derek and Rachel were already entangled in a secret affair, plotting a scheme so ruthless it would make con artists jealous. The blueprint was straightforward. Marry Victoria, bleed her accounts dry, shatter her spirit, and vanish without a trace. For 2 solid years, they orchestrated their deception with surgical precision. Derek would arrive home spinning elaborate tailies. "Babe, there's this incredible venture in Singapore. The investors are all in. I just need another $800,000 to secure our position. We're going to be worth billions, I promise you." Victoria funded every single request because she trusted her husband completely. Love had blindfolded her. Behind closed doors, Derek and Rachel met in luxury apartments and 5-star hotels, toasting champagne bought with Victoria's hard-earned money. They mocked her relentlessly. Rachel would say with cruel satisfaction, "She's pathetically trusting. She never even questions anything." Derek would grin wickedly. "She's the easiest mark I've ever worked. We'll strip her clean." And they continued their theft until fate decided enough was enough. One particular evening, Derek stumbled home intoxicated, carrying that reckless confidence drunk men often possess. He carelessly dropped his phone on the kitchen island, screen facing upward. Victoria, who was preparing chamomile tea, heard it buzz. A message illuminated the screen. The idiot transferred the money again. How ridiculously easy is she to manipulate? Keep pushing, Rachel. For 10 eternal seconds, Victoria stood frozen. Her blood ran cold. Her teaspoon tumbled from her trembling fingers and clattered against the marble floor. She didn't scream. She didn't confront him immediately. Instead, something inside her, something primal, calculating, and fierce, awakened. Her heart shattered into pieces, but her mind ignited like a supercomputer. She moved past Derek as if he were invisible. She climbed the stairs to their bedroom. She sat on the edge of her bed and made one critical phone call. "Hello, I need a private investigator, top-tier professional. Absolute discretion required. This is extremely urgent." Within 3 weeks, she possessed a dossier so comprehensive it could fill a legal library. Hotel check-ins, wire transfers, vehicle purchases, intimate text exchanges, audio recordings, even video surveillance footage. Derek and Rachel had embezzled $2.3 million from her over 2 years. They were strategizing to drain even more before disappearing forever. Victoria studied the evidence and felt the final remnants of love evaporate like morning mist. She understood she'd been sharing her bed with a predator for years. So she made a calculated decision, not to weep, not to plead, not to argue, to win. And that's precisely where the real story ignites. Victoria moved with purpose, the kind of purpose you discover when you've been foolish for too long and suddenly remember your genius. She transferred her genuine assets into offshore trusts under newly formed corporations. She liquidated exposed accounts. She sealed every pathway Derek could exploit to access her fortune. Then she began her greatest performance yet. She started dressing in bargain clothes, purchasing generic groceries, appearing perpetually anxious, pretending to swallow mysterious medications. She told Derek with manufactured worry, "Something's terribly wrong. I'm not feeling well at all." He barely acknowledged her. He was too preoccupied calculating his next theft. Then she delivered her masterstroke. "Derek, the business collapsed. The bank has frozen all my accounts." The shock that flooded his face was pure terror, not because his wife was suffering, but because his money pipeline had suddenly dried up. Derek immediately rushed to call Rachel. Victoria overheard him whispering urgently in the corridor. "She's finished. The money's completely gone. What's our next move?" And Rachel actually laughed before responding. "Then abandon her. What's the purpose of staying with a broke, dying woman?" 3 days later, Victoria admitted herself to an exclusive private hospital and delivered the most convincing performance of her existence. Fragile voice, trembling hands, labored breathing. If Academy Awards were given for strategic revenge, Victoria would have swept every category. The hospital room was eerily quiet when the door burst open. Derek entered with a rigid posture that resembled fury disguised in a tailored suit. Rachel trailed behind him. Victoria lifted her eyes slowly, feigning difficulty breathing. Derek threw an envelope onto her chest like discarded trash. "We need to have a conversation. I'm filing for divorce." Victoria whispered weakly, "Now, I'm critically ill. I have nothing remaining." Rachel rolled her eyes dramatically, stepped forward, and said with a venomous smile, "Precisely. You're completely useless now. Derek can't waste his prime years caring for dead weight." Derek nodded coldly. "I'm absolutely not spending my resources on your medical expenses. Sign these papers immediately." Victoria stared at them both. Then something transformed. Her posture straightened. Her eyes sharpened like blades. Her voice became crystal clear. She ripped the IV tape from her hand, rose to her feet, and declared, "You're absolutely right, Derek. This marriage is over." Derek stumbled backward. "Victoria, you're seriously ill." Victoria smirked. "I'm not sick." She snatched the divorce papers, hurled them back at him, and stated firmly, "And I'm definitely not broke." Rachel blinked in confusion. Derek froze completely. Victoria moved closer. "I saw the text message you sent Rachel last month. The idiot transferred the money again." Derek's throat constricted. Rachel's jaw dropped open. Victoria continued, her voice laced with icy calm. "I hired a private investigator. I know absolutely everything." Silence consumed the room, thick and suffocating. Then she retrieved her phone and rotated the screen toward them. A breaking news headline glowed brightly. "Victoria's software firm secures $800 million federal contract." Derek staggered backward as if physically struck. Lisa whispered hoarsely, "This cannot be happening." "Oh, it's entirely real," Victoria said. "And since you just served me divorce papers citing financial devastation, you receive nothing." Derek collapsed to his knees. "Victoria, please, it was a terrible mistake. I was under immense stress." Victoria's laughter was arctic. "Save your pathetic excuses. You both robbed me." She reached into her designer bag, extracted a thick manila folder, and dropped it at their feet. "I possess documented evidence that you both stole $2.3 million from me. Hotel receipts, wire transfers, photographs, recordings, everything." Derek began sobbing, the ugly, desperate cry of a man watching his entire world implode. Rachel whispered desperately, "Vic, please, we can explain." Victoria raised her hand to silence her. "You have exactly 2 options." Derek looked up, trembling violently. "Option 1, Victoria stated calmly. "The police officers waiting outside arrest you both for fraud and embezzlement." Derek screamed, "No, I can't survive prison." "Option 2, Victoria continued. "You repay me every single penny with 20% interest." Rachel gasped, "We don't possess that kind of money." Victoria leaned forward, her voice like controlled fire. Then liquidate everything you own. And that is precisely what transpired. Over the following 3 months, Derek and Rachel experienced the lifestyle they previously mocked. They sold the Mercedes. They sold the Rolex watches. They sold designer shoes, clothes, handbags, laptops, everything. When that proved insufficient, Derek was forced to sell his parents' house, the one he'd used as collateral for loans taken with Victoria's money. His parents disowned him completely. Rachel sold every piece of jewelry Victoria had unknowingly funded, then her clothes, then her hair extensions, then her luxury bags. They repaid Victoria every single penny. When they finished, they possessed nothing. No house, no vehicle, no savings, no pride. Derek relocated to a cramped studio apartment with peeling wallpaper. He became a barista at a neighborhood cafe. Rachel couldn't afford urban rent, so she returned to her rural hometown in absolute disgrace. People whispered whenever they spotted her. "That's the woman who attempted to steal millions. That's the one who chased a married man. She lost everything." They tumbled from luxury to dust exactly as Victoria had orchestrated. One sunny afternoon, Victoria drove through the city in her brand-new luxury vehicle. She stopped to purchase coffee. Derek was the one behind the counter. His uniform was stained. His hands shook as he processed her order. He looked like life had devoured him and spit him out. He whispered desperately, "Victoria, can we please talk?" Victoria pressed the button to raise her tinted window. She didn't utter a single word. The glass ascended slowly between them like a final barrier. Then she drove away, and Derek watched the woman he attempted to destroy become everything he could never achieve. Derek assumed Victoria was dying. Rachel assumed Victoria was finished. They believed she was weak, helpless, penniless. What they failed to understand was that Victoria was playing chess while they were busy playing cheap checkers. Real revenge isn't screaming. It's not physical confrontation. Real revenge is success so thunderous that it completely drowns the memory of those who betrayed you. What would you have done in Victoria's position? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story inspired you, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear that real power doesn't need to announce itself.